Something else. On the 4th day of snow, as he ate his evening meal, the 6 o'clock news came on, and as he watched the images provided by the Canuts of the world, uselessly branding the nameless black, the multifunction bathroom ovens, the dead yellow-eyed chickens, the wide-angle shots of virus gorillas, and the close-ups of Disney French-frying McCain's baby peas, with extras for AIDS and Prozac. At some point, in a break between the bodies of dead Kurd peasants gassed somewhere in Iraq and Japanese cars singing "Welcome to the great free world where everyone chooses the price imposed," he asked, "So where's our present then? Our peasant child falling through thin green ice?" And sure enough, near the end, there was an item of local human interest, an image of a blonde smiling schoolgirl missing for 2 days after 3 days of snow. Her professionally dressed father was asking for help, last sightings and that kind of thing. And though the father was presented as presenting with a calm voice, nobody would have been fooled, because like those of a Kurd hearing the soft green crack of a canister of gas, the anguished stare of his eyes disturbed something else. On the 2nd day of snow, when he looked through the living room window, he saw the crystals eddying beneath the eaves as fleeting shadows foreshadowing summer, blue skies, hot sand, salt drying on brown skin, and looking beyond his advertisement, over the line of his hedge, he could see some houses and cars, a boat, and a playground where children were playing in snow, and beyond these sketched details of a normalised suburban scene, above dark hills disappearing in cloud, a grey sky flecked dark blue, and to his left, what's this? A peasant? A well-fed peasant trudging down snow-covered slopes? And 2 dogs? And over here, a child falling through thin green ice. But when he checked his hallucination of an image of a painting by Bruegel, in the image of the painting there's not 1, but 3 well-fed peasants trudging left to right down a snow-covered slope. One of them is carrying a dead fox on his back, its legs tied to a staff. And there's not 2 dogs, but a pack, Rottweilers, greyhounds, pinchers, but different, as if the present is strange before it's past. And behind them there are 2 pups behaving like pups in snow, and also a dog having a shit, its spine overhunched in strain, while to his left, in front of an inn with glass windows, some women are dressing a pig. And as he looks, in the far distance, beneath a hazy sky flecked dark blue, people are playing sport, ice hockey, skating, and that kind of thing. And though nothing like this is actually happening, there's also no child falling through thin green ice. Yet when he put down the book containing his latest version of Bruegel's image, he realized that while he might know little of Bruegel's values, he guessed he wasn't fascinated simply in defining negative space through a line, that rather his perspective was that of somebody who knew that foxes and pigs can always unexpectedly find themselves singing in some other creature's belly, and likewise people in the middle of plenty. For there you were, travelling along in your new Japanese import, a white 4-door sedan. You were going to some warm sunny beach when the trailer of an approaching truck became detached. And on the 6 o'clock news, here's your new white car. It's a 4-door convertible. Some viewers saying, "Oh, what bad luck," while others announcing in sonorous poetic voices, "Everything is fate." Still others murmuring, "It's just a matter of statistical distributions." And while you may be meeting Mr. who art in heaven, or Mr. pleased to meet you, or something else, the mute song of unnameable blackness, who cares? Before a prime-time audience could yawn, your head was detached, and you're dead, and you can't come back. And to own such an art, and to appreciate its stable rate of decay, at least when compared to us, the fleeting inhabitants of fleeting assemblages of cells, to own and not to respond to feeling cold like a snowflake forgotten by the snow, he supposed something. He supposed that Bruegel had painted a previously unknown painting from the view of a child falling through thin green ice, rendering in paint the sound of its last slow bubbling gasp. And though he was of the view that art can only be credited with what art can be credited with, because like the happiness of loving someone or the pleasure of reading, it can never overpower whatever is real, only become a fragment of its unartfully changing blackness, he asked himself, would it disturb me much if a painting of a child falling through thin green ice was hanging on my living room wall, even assuming that a child would want to become somebody else's object? And his answer was no. If it was his child, no matter who was looking, like a Kurd learning the news, he would begin to howl. Because as her professionally dressed father spoke, the warming cold had already travelled from his daughter's extremities, from her feet and hands and cooling skin, towards her heart, lungs and belly, and as the silently drifting flakes amplified the sound of her breath, on the night of the third day, back in her room, she turns the stereo up loud, oh Jesus, not Marilyn Manson again, and stepping out onto her very own stage, before the assembled faces of her audience, she announces she no longer wants to struggle against the nameless black of a name somebody else gave her. Because in the mirror, I'm the face no one sees. Because I embraced an abandoned pony. Because in your famous summer, flowers die in your hands. Because loneliness is the broken song of my heart. And just to show them who she is, that she means what she says, she laughs and tears out her veins and drinks her blood. And as her audience begins to applaud, her small knot of rage, a fragment of ice remembered by ice, melting to her half-closed eyes, drifts her further and further inwards to her own last solitude, peacefully unravelling all perspective, until at some point, maybe 2 a.m., it's too late for her parents and friends, and she begins to dreaming of living in absolute control, in some paradise where she will always be loved, where like a painting on a wall or words on a page, she'll never hear anyone's last slow bubbling gasp, let alone their laughter around a table, and falling silently still, layer by layer, the snow enfolds her within itself. The colder body as usual, unable to warm up without work a more warm one, so that on the 5th day of this pastoral scene during snow, in the city's oldest cemetery, her body was found exhibiting its own stable rate of decay, or something like that, something clear and perfect, like her father's anguished eyes, like her despairing rage refusing the names given, like the drifting snow, like ice, like sunbathing on a beach, salt drying on skin, like holding someone in your arms, angel wings of earth, words of each unnamed heart.